It's the Auburn Observer Podcast. Back, ladies and gentlemen. Really back. Fall camp back. Football practice back. Actual stuff to talk about back. Justin Ferguson here in Auburn, Alabama, joined by my co-pilot per usual, Dan Peck. Hello, Daniel.
Ahoy, Justin. Great to talk to you as always. And yeah, with a couple of weekends to go before kickoff, it's starting to feel right about that time.
Mm-hmm. It's fun, man. I'm telling you, like, being out there on the practice field, you can kind of feel the energy. I mean, I think the thing about this team, starting with Alex Golesh on down, is that there's this energy, this hunger, this desire to prove themselves at this level, and it's a buzz that you can kind of feel. We'll see how it all shakes out in the season. It's going to be a tough season. It's a tough schedule, and you know Auburn's had 5 straight losing seasons. It's not necessarily something where you can just snap your finger and say, "Oh, it's fixed now." But it was fun. It was fun first day of practice. We're recording this on Wednesday night. You'll hear it on Thursday morning. By the time you're listening to this, we might be out at practice again. Appreciate Auburn giving us the access early on. So we had practice on Wednesday. Talked to several players afterwards. Got about half an hour of viewing window availability. That was awesome. So you can check out all the observations from Wednesday's practice at the Observer right now. We'll put a link in the description so you can get to it easily. But a lot of stuff in there, specifically on the offense, which is what we'll talk about here on this show. But $7 a month or $70 for your first full year yearly subscription to the Observer. I say first full year, it's $70. That's the new annual rate. If you subscribe, you get all the emails sent straight to your inbox. And this time of year, we're going to be sending them in the afternoons, all times during the day, because the schedules and whatnot. You'll get all the podcasts. You'll get the podcast we do later this week out in your inboxes as soon as it drops. And so if you buy the yearly subscription, you already go ahead and pay up front. You get 2 months free, basically, lumped in. So got a decent chunk of folks jumping on board here this week, which is really exciting and really cool. We got to talk to Alex Golesh and both coordinators earlier in the week, so we'll talk some more about that. And, Dan, I guess leading off for this, we got so many different directions we can go to. We'll talk players, we'll talk personnel, we'll talk news, we'll talk, a lot to do with the specifics of Auburn football right now on the field. But let's talk off the field real quick. This is an old school fall camp. Auburn going away for fall camp for these next couple weeks until school starts back. They're staying at Grand National, which, I mean, great accommodations. I'll say that. But this is something that Alex Golesh has done in the past at USF and wanted to bring it to Auburn. And I asked Jason Caldwell, who's been doing this for a while and friend of the show, because this is my 13th or 14th fall camp, and I can't remember Auburn ever doing that in the time I've covered them. So I asked Jason, and he said it's been at least 15 or 20 years since the last time they've done this. So it's kind of an old school approach where you used to actually go off the camp, kind of an NFL approach in a ways as well, Dan. But for a team and a coaching staff that has talked so much about bringing a new team together and all the pieces, this is putting your money where your mouth is. I mean, this is a pretty big arrangement you have to make to try to bring the squad together.
And I wonder if part of the reason why previous coaching staffs didn't think that they needed to resort to this, or at least to do something as drastic as moving everything off campus. Auburn is generally pretty quiet in August until the students are back in full force. I wonder if this was something Golesh did at USF.
Yeah, he said he did it every year he was at USF.
Because Tampa's a little bit different, and I think the calendar of that campus is a little bit different. So, yeah, I mean, I think that if Alex Golesh thinks that it's going to work and benefit the team, and I bet there is some there with as many first-year players, and I know they've had a lot of time together already, but with as many first-year players as you have in this year's group, on this year's roster, there probably is some benefit to having them spend some extended time together doing, not just the on-field stuff, but a lot of the important off-field stuff for chemistry and team building. But yeah, I think it's something that it's clearly worked for Alex Golesh previously in his college football career, and it's something that, as you said, pretty good digs for the players the next couple of weeks, and it's something that I do think it's a little. I mean, when you talk about eliminating distractions, right? It's like, well, you do want them prepared for school. But it is also like but
they
school,
got that taken care of.
Yeah,
though.
exactly. That it feels like that's something that
they're not having to make the same target runs right now as everyone else.
And I think that when they talk about getting student athletes prepared for the season, being ready academically is part of the deal,
sure.
and still is. But no, it's the thought of being able to use this opportunity for chemistry and team building, I think is something that Alex Golesh and his staff recognize as it could end up being really valuable.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things is like you talk about distractions and all that. It's like they had to turn in their car keys. They're getting shuttled around everywhere. It's just them. I mean, it's you got to hang out with your teammates. You gotta get to know them better. You got to spend time with one another. And it's a really cool thing, I think. And you hear like players talk about they were pretty excited about it. Eric Winters said after practice today, he was like, I was kind of frustrated at first. He's like, because I really like sleeping in my own bed. But then he was like, oh, your first night there and you get used to it. And you're like, okay, like this is a pretty cool thing. I also like the thing pairing older players with younger players as roommates. That's just a cool thing. I think, so we'll see. I don't know if you'll ever be able to point to like a tangible difference of like wins and losses or anything like that. But the guys who have been through it before, the USF transfers, and others who have been in this kind of situation is like, yeah, I mean, it does mean a lot. It helps the team out a lot to be able to do this. And it is different these days because guys don't go home in the summer, right? Like you're here all year long. You enroll early, you stay around, you work out and all that. But, Golesh was saying it's like away from practice, you want them to hang out with one another and be around one another. It's like, okay, guys don't all live on campus. They go their separate ways and all that. So it's an easier way to kind of get all that together. And for a team that's so brand new, I think it was especially important to kind of push this button. Now, if Golesh is here long term, I feel like this is going to be something you just keep going back to because it's something he likes doing. But I don't know. In the transfer portal era, going old school makes sense here.
And there's, like you said, there's no way to quantify this, right? Like it's not if Auburn beats Florida in week 3, we're not going to be on the recap show saying, well, those 13 days at the hotel back in August.
I will. If Auburn beats Florida, that'll be the first thing I'll say. I'll try to remember that.
We'll ask him about it at the press conference. We'll say, Coach, do you think? Do you think
it was? It's also a good reason.
13 days of continental breakfast. Do you think that was the difference in this one?
I'll tell you that Auburn's been staying at Grand National for like on Friday nights before home games. It's like, hey, go ahead and get used to that. Like, go ahead and get used to the digs.
Learn how to make your own waffle.
Yep.
At the make your own waffle machine.
Yep. If you sometimes they'll have the little chopped up pecans you can throw in there, and you feel like a fancy guy over there. But yeah, it's also I want to I was wondering if you knew this term, Dan. Speaking of eating, so they've moved where the press conferences are. They're now upstairs in a team meeting room.
Ooh.
On the second floor. That room that they used to do the press conferences in, that has been completely...
It's a Spirit Halloween now?
Yeah. It's been completely changed over to a cafeteria, like this is where guys are going to eat all there's Jimmy Rain, as Jimmy Rain does, made, donations and funded a lot of this.
He made it rain, if you will.
He made it rain. He wanted to name it after Pat Dye, which he's done for several things at Auburn too. The field logo is one of those things. It's called the Pat Dye training table. Dan, did you know training table was a term for like a player cafeteria? It's apparently an old school term, and I had no, because when you hear them say, like Golesh is talking about it on Tuesday, and he's like, it'll be the new Pat Dye training table. It'll be open when these guys when we move back in here for when school starts back. And we're here full time again instead of going back and forth. And he was like, yeah, it'll be great. These guys will eat all their meals here. And like, I hear that and I'm like, wait a minute. Because my thought when I heard training table, I was like, oh, this is something to do with like sports medicine and the training staff and all that. Nope. Apparently it's just an old term for a cafeteria for a football team.
It does sound like something Mr. Burns would say on the Simpsons, right? Like it's what he would think the concession stand is called at a game or something. But there's like something
they're playing. He's doing the "Let's all go to the movies."
Yeah, it's very Conan O'Brien coded. Yeah. But no, it's like I was unfamiliar with that, and I tend to know more esoteric. Obsolete slang.
This is a man who goes to a cobbler, visits a haberdasher.
It's true. I made multiple Mack the Knife references, like in recent.
You made so many Mack the Knife references, it became something that people brought up to you because they were concerned.
That's right, and then it was the outro on an episode, I think, following that. But it's. No, it's I was unfamiliar with that, but that's a catchy name for some and love knowing that it's named after Coach Tai.
Yeah, no, it is really, really cool stuff. All right, let's dive in. Dan, we got a lot to talk
about. I thought it was gonna be like Coach Tai's Smokehouse or something, right? Like it was gonna be something like sick. Some. It's like make a barbecue restaurant.
The Die Delicatessen. Yeah, let's do that. All right, let's dive into the news.
TGI Die Days.
That's it. Got stuff all on the wall. That's awesome. This is going to be the weirdest shifting gears we've done before, but shifting gears to actually like something serious here. The Tai Buster news just sucks, man. Like that's a blow for a kid that was. I mean, I wrote my predictions for the depth chart earlier this week. I had him as a starter. Like I thought he was really in line to start. We'll talk about the offensive line, without him here shortly, but like he had such a good spring. Golesh talked about how great of an offseason he's had. And the good news is it doesn't sound like he's going to be out all year. They're going to try to maybe have him back by the middle of the regular season. And Dan, maybe you hope that around the middle of the year, at the time when inevitably you're going to have to be dealing with some injuries or just some bumps and bruises on the offensive line, getting him back could be a boost, but it's tough because he was heading such in the right direction.
And this is valuable time that he's going to miss, right? Mm-hmm. Like the game, the fall practice and the first half of the season would have been really valuable experience for Tai Buster if he was going to play a significant role in the offensive line. Instead, you wonder if it could end up being something of a lost season, depending on how this goes. And you hope not, because, like you said, showed a lot of potential. And, I mean, beyond it being just a real setback for Tai Buster, it's also like you pull a Jenga block away from that offensive line, right? And how many of those blocks can you take away before the whole thing crumbles, right? And so that's where suddenly, Stanton Ramil becomes even more important than he was a couple of days ago. You think about whoever the next man up is, Jack Lehrer, maybe Zierer. Like suddenly, I think you got to accelerate the timeline on when those guys are ready to help you, because I think it's more than just having five, right? I mean, Alex Golesh will tell you, like, he wants to have, I think, an interior guy and an exterior guy ready to go.
Oh yeah,
and ready to come in not just for injury but for fatigue at the pace he wants to run. And I think Tai Buster was in position to be one of the seven.
Yes,
going into fall camp, and instead something of a question mark as to if you take his name off the board, who if you just got to replace him with one, like whose name goes on the board instead.
So let's talk about the domino effect here. Offensive line was always going to be something that was going to be in flux here in fall camp because of, like you just mentioned, Dan, Stanton Ramil's return. Now, Stanton Ramil was the first guy up at right tackle on Wednesday. Why is that interesting? Well, because I think a lot of people thought, Joe Simmons is probably going to be the right tackle. Stanton Ramil will probably be the left tackle, and that'll be that. Ramil being the guy who was the bigger name transfer. He did play left tackle during his career at Michigan State pretty much exclusively. That's where you go. Instead, Ramil at right tackle Simmons staying at left tackle. Now, the more I think about this move, Dan, the more I like it. And look, you want to have versatility. You want to be able to play multiple spots. It's not set in stone. It's day one of camp. But Joe Simmons played over 1,000 snaps at James Madison, most of them coming at left tackle, including all of last season. Ramil doesn't have quite as much experience. Obviously, the experience coming in the Big Ten, which helps. But I think, Dan, more importantly, it's just like Joe Simmons was your left tackle in the spring, and he did well. Why not keep him there? And if you have no Tai Buster and you're trying to figure things out on that right side, all right, let's just plug in Stanton or Mill and go there. And maybe, if he is, as expected, one of your best tackles and one of your best options on the offensive line, propping up that right side might be good. So that was something that I think took a little bit of, might have taken some people by surprise a little bit on Wednesday. But the more I think about it, the more you kind of dig into it, it makes sense. Why move Joe Simmons when he did really well there in the spring and, plug Ramil in on the right side?
And not just, independent of the spring Joe Simmons had, the fact that, look, there's a lot expected of Ramil. As I said, he becomes more valuable than he was 48, 72 hours ago with the thought that you're not going to have Tai Buster available. So I think if Ramil, even in a world where Tai Buster was healthy this season, if Ramil is a starter, how he performs and how Tai Buster performs when Tai Buster plays could have influenced what the offensive line looked like moving forward. Auburn doesn't have that option now. Like they'll have to decide: is there another offensive lineman ready to, who else could go in case of performance, fatigue, injury, multiple things where you're gonna need those backup offensive linemen ready. And I mean, it's a blow at the very least. It's a blow to Auburn's depth, right? And maybe it's a guy who has a really bright future on the offensive line who's suddenly not available for an extended period of the season.
So that makes the right guard situation interesting, because if we assume that Simmons and Ramil were going to be your tackles in some order, the projection I had, the thought that made sense to me was, okay, Tai Buster, kick inside the guard, a place where he's got some experience and, he makes sense. He's 6'4", so a little bit better at guard, you would think, like, prototype-wise, projection-wise than at tackle. No Tai Buster, so what happens at right guard? Well, Cole Skinner is there at right guard on Wednesday. Not a surprise. It's where he was in the spring. I was struck, Dan, and like full disclosure, with Dan's going to try to be there Saturday for practice, but the day job in Montgomery. You weren't out there on Wednesday, but we're going to try to get you out there at practice or something. But so I'll tell you this: with I would like to point it out to you if you come on Saturday, so get a second opinion on this, but. The vibe I got watching from the offensive line out there, and I heard a couple people say this, Cole Skinner looks like a different dude in the fall. Like I think he looks like a guy that really did a lot of good work in the summer, transforming his body and looking more, ready for the fight coming up this season in the SEC. And he was a guy that Cole Best talked about after practice. He was like, man, I'm really proud of what he's done in the summer because I played with him for a while. I've known him for a while. He really took a step forward, in the summer months. And that's an interesting one to be, because I thought he would have been a factor in the plans at the offensive line, but he was not an every down starter at USF. But all of a sudden, with no Buster, there's value in a guy that knows this offense and has played in it before.
And there's also a ton of opportunity at guard, right? Like it's not like Auburn had anyone going into the spring who profiled as a surefire, clear-cut, oh, this guy is step onto an SEC field and produce like a high level player immediately. Like you just didn't have
Derek Plaz doing so well on the left side was a revelation. Yeah. It was probably the biggest surprise of the spring on the offensive line. And
so for Cole to take a step forward, for Cole Skinner to take a step forward like that, as he seemingly has, he seemed like as safe a bet as anyone. Maybe him and Plaz sort of distinguished themselves compared to the competition at guard in the spring. But it seems like now, and again, having not been there today, but if you'd asked me going in, it's like those two guys look to be in pole position right now as far as the two guards, and I wonder, who would really be, because especially if they want a third one, there's
that's where Lehrer makes sense to me.
Yeah.
We saw him second with the twos on Wednesday. He's versatile. To me, Dan, like Lehrer, I think even before the Buster injury made sense to me as like the sixth man or seventh man, where it's like you can, if you have an injury, you can plug him in somewhere and you can shuffle him around, because he played kind of some of everything at Stanford. Whereas Jacob Strand from Oregon State was more of a tackle, and we saw him second string offensive tackle on Wednesday. Like, Lehrer makes sense for me. Stanford kids, played a lot of ball. You move him around. Like, that's that sixth or seventh man that gets fun. And then you start saying, but like you're talking about opportunity. I mean, that second string, and I'll say even that third, like, that's open. I mean, when you talk about true freshmen getting in the mix there, you talk about guys you didn't really talk about a ton in spring practices getting in the mix. Like, this is a deep offensive line in terms of names, right? There's depth here, but it's not like an established pecking order at this point outside of a couple of guys. So I'm interested to see Wilson Zaire, Parker Pritchett getting some love, Jacoby Ward, TJ Hedrick, younger transfer from Ole Miss, is a guy that is looking at. So it's like that offensive line room, it was always going to be a really fascinating storyline heading into camp. The Buster injury, unfortunate for Auburn. It adds even more intrigue because, okay, now what do you guard? What do you do, to kind of shuffle around? But, the word coming out of the first day of camp was the offensive line had a really good day. It just, did a good job. It's hot as heck out there, as you all know. And Best said it after practice. He's like, we hit a second wind at practice, and he said, I thought the offensive line did really, really well. And so it's kind of the sense we got from that crew. So that offensive line, Dan, like, it's just going to be like, we're going to be talking about it for the next few weeks and to see if there's any moves. Like, the thing about covering camp is, like, you don't necessarily look for every single day, like, here's this guy was here this day, this guy was here this day, and like it's more patterns, right? But like day one is to establish it, and then when you start to see patterns of repetition or patterns of things kind of veering away from that, that's when it gets interesting. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that offensive line. It's a good deep group. It's got a lot to prove and a lot, got to get going in a hurry.
Right, and it's going to be a question mark, I think, reasonably. There's going to be questions about how this group is going to perform, and we really won't have those answers until the season gets going. But it's a pivotal time for these guys, and you really hope. I mean, especially after Tai Buster, it's like you really hope as many of them are available as possible between now and the start of the season. You really don't want to have to absorb many more injuries in that room.
100%. All right, Dan, let's talk about a guy. We'll talk about two guys here that I think the buzz has been pretty high on them throughout the summer, and then there was nothing that we heard earlier in the week from the coaching staff or anything we saw on Wednesday to derail it at all, if not just kind of intensify it. And we'll start at slot receiver. We'll start at receiver. Deshaun Spencer, one of the first receivers up today, and in the slot and getting a lot of traffic. When you have a guy like Chaz Nimrod on the outside, and you've got, Keyshawn Singleton and Koger and all that. But for Deshaun Spencer, Dan, it is early, long way to go. But the way people are talking about him and the way he is performing in practice is like, this is going to play. And look, at that slot spot, Christian Neptune's not all the way healthy. He was in a non-contact jersey.
And that I think that's a really important development, right?
That might be
for the slot.
That might be the big thing there. But he was third.
Yeah.
You had Corey Pettigrew also transferred from USF there. Bryce Cain's still here. It's just for Deshaun Spencer to do that and look good while doing it is pretty impressive. And you were on the field. You saw a lot of the stuff. We talked about it back then. We've talked about it throughout the like the way Deshaun Spencer moves to get open and what he does with the ball in his hands after the catch, even when it's not real football at this point, or from what we've seen, and it's just pass skeleton stuff, quarterbacks throwing to wide receivers, it looks different, and it doesn't look like a freshman out there. The only way you would say he's a freshman is because he's just a small guy, But even still, it's really impressive what he's doing right now.
And that's a position where kids play, too, right? Like, that's a position
especially
where
in
it's
this
not
offense.
Yeah, it's not unheard of for a freshman to show up in the SEC and have a productive year at wide receiver. In fact, it happens more at that position than at a lot of other positions on the field, where you see a guy who belongs immediately as a true freshman. And yeah, I think for Spencer, like it's unfortunate development that Neptune's still in the non-contact. Hopefully he can get that off and be ready to go for the start of the year. But no, in an offense that's going to need production at that position, Spencer has looked ready to go. I mean, really, from the moment they put the pads on, right in the spring, he's looked like a guy that you would. I mean, if you watch the whole group and you had to pick out, which ones are the true freshmen, I don't think Spencer was a guy that would have jumped out to you.
No, and yet, I mean, the 8A game was one thing, but now it's just like, can you keep it going? And people are really impressed with him. His teammates keep raving about him. He's getting these opportunities. Like you said, it's a very good point that you mentioned here, Dan, though, if you want to kind of pump the brakes or have, rein it in a little bit, right? And I don't want to be too guilty of going overboard, like I said, of what you see at the beginning. But Neptune is banged up right now, or at least not 100%. Still, this Deshaun Spencer thing is crazy. I mean, this is a kid who 2,600 yards and 37 receiving touchdowns in his last two seasons at Saraland. I mean, no disrespect to our small schools that we love so dearly, but like he was doing this at Saraland. He was doing this against some big schools, big competition. And, Cody Burns said it when he got here when talking about Deshaun Spencer. He's like, look, they had Velus Jones at Tennessee. That's a slot receiver that came from Saraland and tore it up pretty quickly. And then we all know, Ryan Coleman Williams at Alabama, big Auburn recruit, legacy guy, became a star pretty much overnight at Alabama. Now, he didn't have the sophomore season a lot of people expected him to have, but he's still, one of the bigger name players in the league, one of the bigger name receivers in college football. Another Saraland slot receiver. And Spencer was a guy who, in some ways, outperformed them in high school. And so to have him coming in and just immediately flashing like he does, it's pretty impressive. It's pretty, like, I think we know, we talked about this summer, Dan. We know Chaz Nimrod, Keyshawn Singleton, Jeremiah Coger, probably going to be guys you're going to really rely on this year at wide receiver.
I think if Neptune were healthy, I think we would have felt like putting him on that list too.
And he probably still has plenty of opportunity to get to that point. But you still need 2 or 3 or 4 more guys. Why not Deshaun Spencer? And it's just like he's really, really impressive. Because again, it's just, go back to A-Day. You saw him there on the field. You got it up close and personal. Look, it's the explosiveness and the smoothness that is like that's not what that's not normal for every receiver, much less a kid who's straight out of high school.
Sure, and Williams was really impressive too in those spring practices. And I know I've seen reports that he maybe had an up and down day with some flashes and some mistakes. He's still a true freshman.
Oh yeah.
But I think both.
Oh, I mean Spencer had a clear cut drop on a slant that people saw.
I'm not going to be all that shocked if when you talk about, especially if Neptune is still trying to get back to 100%, when you talk about Auburn needing 6, potentially 7 receivers ready to go for the Baylor game, I would think Spencer and Brian Williams could both very well be two of those guys.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Staying with the offense, Dan, I mean, again, not hard to gas up the hype train here for this guy, but we got to do it even more. If Auburn had to play a game on Saturday, Omar Mabson's your number 2 running back. He just is. And I asked Golesh earlier this week, like, what do you want at running back? Like, what kind of rotation do you want at running back? And he said 3.5, which is one of the most peculiar answers that I've ever gotten from a coach.
Is the half goal line short yardage stuff?
The half is like we can turn
Byron
to you
Brown,
if we need
is
him.
Byron Brown half?
He might be the other half. That's a
he's
good
1.5.
Yeah.
He's 1.5 running backs.
But yeah, he was saying Dan, like what you kind of want in that situation, if you're Auburn, is have 2 guys that you rotate out on a drive-by-drive basis, have a third guy who's ready, third guy who can come in at any moment and play the roles you need him to, and then have depth behind that. So have somebody ready and raring. Second running back up in all the drills today was Omar Mapson. And this was a guy we have heard talked about a ton throughout the offseason. He had a very impressive spring. The fact, I thought Golesh and Gordon both pointing this out was big. When you talk about Omar, to be a kid who should be a freshman right now, right? It's almost universally said that he's the best pass protector in that room. And I'll tell you, having covered a lot of his games at Auburn High, that's not surprising to me because he's a really smart kid and he's also just physical and he's to borrow a very popular phrase of the day, Dan, like he's got that dog in him. Like he craves contact. He craves violence. He wants to go out there and make something happen. So when you have that, and last year you had to be RB2 by default when Damari Alston left. You didn't get a ton of carries, but you got reps, you got experience, and then you come in the spring and you look like, oh, that's an SEC running back. That's a dude who's been in a year in a strength and conditioning program, and like physically, he looks like a tank, dude. Like he's really, really impressive. So not surprised at all that Omar's made the moves that he's had, and I think
he looks like a tank or tank.
He looks like a tank.
Okay.
If he runs like the tank, Auburn's in a really good spot.
Gotta be careful using that word.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Dad. It's like that we talked about with wide receivers. Running back is the position where a young guy can come in and light it up like that. Tank was one of those guys. Like we've seen those guys over the years do this for Auburn. Omar gets that experience under his belt. I love and look, you might not want to say a pure thunder and lightning combo with him and Cobb because Jeremiah Cobb's nearly 210 pounds now. He's put on some good weight, but it's a fun pairing right there. And not to take anything away from the other running backs. We'll talk about them shortly, but like Omar's just done such a good job. And I'll say that I'm biased here because he was a guy I covered when he was in high school and, watched him very, very closely. I'll fully admit that I have a better read on him and more info on him. And that might sway my opinion on him more than other guys who are on this team just because I don't have that same sort of background with him. I'll fully admit that. I'm not ashamed of it. But the thing with Omar is when you saw him run at Auburn High, it was like that dude looks different. Like that the way he runs is just pretty special, and so not surprising to see him go there.
He's not the first high school player you've covered who made the jump to the SEC either. I mean, you've seen other guys, and yeah, I'm gonna say.
What happened? It took Bobby Whitlow a year.
Yeah,
right. Obviously, it didn't work out long term with him at Auburn, but took him a year to get his bearings.
No, I think, the big question I keep coming back to at running back and really with the running game in general is how much do you adjust, recalibrate Byram's running instincts, right? Like, is he going to run the ball nearly as much as he did at USF? And if he does, and you assume that there's a healthy number of touches for Jeremiah Cobb, you sort of wonder how much is left for anybody else between Brown and Cobb taking up, what could be 35, 40 carries potentially, depending on how much they want to use either of those guys. But then, between Omar and I really liked what I saw from Davenport in the spring, and he seems like he would have options as a short yard. He would be an option as a short yardage back. But yeah, make no mistake, Omar's coming, right? Like it's just like West Baltimore. Like this guy is he's and he could be ripping and running, right? Like, I mean, we'll see what happens with Omar this season, but yeah, not going to surprise. And you saw a lot of him, but a lot of people who cover high school football in the state got to see Omar, and I don't know how many of them would be all that surprised if he's an impact SEC player very early in his college football career.
We're going to start the petition now. Home games this season. If he breaks a big run, you just play the whistle.
Farmer in the Dell?
Yeah. I think
there was I believe Baltimore had a closer who entered to the Orioles had a closer who entered to that.
Yeah.
As his
awesome.
which is really, really good.
Very, very good. But yeah, the other running backs is like Bryson Washington was fourth in the line. But we're not surprised by that because the word on him has been he's got to get back into playing shape. He's been challenged at that point to do that. If he's one of those guys, if he's one of that 3.5 this year, wouldn't be surprised, wouldn't bat an eye. In fact, I'd probably expect it. Nothing against Tay Meadows and Alvin Henderson, but I think there is a delineation there. There's like gap. But at this point, Omar Mabson's looking really good, and that's a really good sign for this Auburn team. That wants to have guys like you want to have these dudes who are going to be around for a year, maybe two, maybe to win right now. But you want to have dudes that you want to have long term and can kind of be here. And obviously Omar choosing to stay here and build, like, it's really impressive. Like Golesh and Gordon were raving about him earlier this week, and then we see him get those opportunities on Wednesday. Pretty good stuff there from them. Dan, the tight end room is fascinating to me. A lot of talk about them and just figuring out ways to use different guys in different spots. Dan, like, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. Tight end feels like a position you would really like because it's like you can really just see a lot of different types of guys play there. Like, it's a very versatile role. And they're all kind of they're all kind of your size.
Yeah, it's a Swiss Army knife of a position, right? Like, depending on what you need from these different guys, like you've got some guys who maybe profile more as power run game influencers. You've got some guys that can get open in the short yardage and be matchup problems in the passing game. You do sort of wonder with the number of options at receiver, like how many times per game will Auburn actually be throwing to the tight end? But it does sound like, I mean, there are like there's a list of players that seem like they could be really intriguing this year, both experienced options and some younger players.
Yeah, Jake Johnson being the guy there around that everybody kind of rallies around, the leader there. No surprise, played a ton of football. Super experienced coming in. I'll tell you one thing, Danny. It impressed me today watching him a little bit more up close now that he's fully healthy. Arliss Boardingham looks good. And again, I think people forget at Florida. Look, if Auburn got the Arliss Boardingham straight from Florida, like there no Bowling Green year last year where he missed time due to injury, if they'd have just gotten that Arliss Boardingham, people would be going crazy about him because he had production at the SEC level that's like established. And then you get into the fun kind of mix of like, I mean, you've seen him before at practice, and it's not surprising to hear me say like, dude, Jonathan Eccles and Trey Newsome are gigantic human beings. They're both 6'6". Newsome's 265 right now, and they just, I mean, it looks like Godzilla running across the middle of the field. And what is that?
Newsome looked like a tackle.
Yes,
we talked about it. Like watching Newsome run routes in the spring. It's like, I mean, now make no mistake, he didn't run routes like a tackle. He didn't jump like a tackle. He didn't get open but like watch it, it's like that dude, especially when like defensive backs are nearby. You're right. It's like something out of Pacific Rim.
Yeah, so here's my favorite part of that to say. Trey Newsome is 15 pounds lighter, same height, but about 15 pounds lighter than what Braden Smith was when he was a freshman offensive tackle at Auburn. It's crazy. It's crazy to look at that dude and see what the potential you have there. DJ Broughton getting some love as well. Like it's an interesting mix of guys, and I want to see how they all kind of fit together, how they do it. But like knowing Golesh's track record of mixing and matching, getting creative in the red zone, going with heavy sets, trying different dudes in different spots. It's a position group that it's early, but like you watch them at practice on Wednesday, and you're like, I can see why they're excited. If they're moving this well and their guys are out of non-contact jerseys, like where do you go with the kind of mixing and matching there? And how do these guys take that next step and help this offense get better in the red zone, get better in scoring opportunities? They can do that. They don't have to be. You don't have to have Brock Bowers. You don't have to have You know, you don't have to have a guy like Philip Lutzenkirchen was for Auburn, where it's like, well, that's your dude. Like, that is your number one guy there. You just need production when your name's called, and it's a good group to see that with.
And I think it speaks to the talent that Auburn seems to have at receiver, right? That, like, if that group were more suspect, maybe you'd be talking about the tight ends like a group Auburn needs to lean on really heavily this year. But instead, because it seems like you've got some pretty solid options in the passing game at receiver, it's an open question how much the tight ends will factor in and who among the tight ends will feature.
And then wrapping up our tour on the offensive side, Dan, from this first practice, number 17 is going to play a lot. He looks pretty good. I don't know if you've heard of this kid, Byron Brown. Super energetic guy, man. Like, that's one of the things that stood out to me is that when you hear Golesh, and I wrote about it at media days, like the confidence being back, the swagger being back for him after kind of getting that adjustment period in the spring. You watch Byron Brown interact with his teammates. You watch Byron Brown throw the ball at practice, and it's early, and we don't get to see everything. But that's a guy that, you know, I've said it, Dan, like, he's the face of the franchise. And to see the team kind of rally around him, to see him kind of be that spark plug, that motivator, that energizer, was a pretty cool thing, you know, and still throwing the ball pretty well. That deep ball looks really good, and I'll be interested to see how they unleash him. From this first day of practice, not a ton on the defensive side. I'll be honest, I was with the offense mostly. I'm going to try to get on Thursday. I'm going to try to do more on defense, so look for more of that on the observation side, and we'll talk about it more later this week. I do want to say, though, I did keep an eye on the corners, just kind of the pecking order there, talking about that. Linebackers. This is another one that I want to point out to you whenever you come out of practice. Elijah Melendez looks like that's not normal. That's when you have Xavier Atkins after All-American, who did all those freaky things last year for Auburn as a defensive playmaker. When you have him after practice talking about a true sophomore and saying he does things that most linebackers can't do, like a lot of us can't do what he does. He's so like big and built at this point. Like, he's gotten a lot bigger. His arms are tree trunks, and he's still got that sideline to sideline speed. Dan, he's Bullet Bob, not Armstrong, but he could be Bullet Bob Armstrong. But like the Mario guy, like, he's just like just stout and just missile like. He's so impressive to watch.
Yeah, I mean that's a very impressive transformation, right? Like, usually gamma rays are involved when someone changes that drastically in such a short amount of time. But no, I mean, this is a guy who,
Banner.
I mean, it's a guy who you wouldn't like him when he's angry. Like, it's between, you know what? And I find myself, you know, I think Saturday, a lot of the focus on defense is going to be on those second year guys and who's ready to make that jump and shoulder, you know, more of the weight this season for the defense, whether it's at linebacker, whether it's at corner, whether it's at safety, whether it's in the pass rush, whether it's on the interior defensive line. Like, Auburn's got important second-year players all over this defense.
Oh, yeah.
From a signing class that folks were very excited about when they came to school. And it's I think for this that's going to be one of the stories, not just of fall camp, but of this season, is who makes that jump of the class of 2025. You know, those defensive guys from the class of 25. Like, who's going to make that jump in year two?
Another thing at linebacker, I'll tell you, Dan, just on a personal level, real good to see DeMarcus Riddick out there bouncing around and like looking like he was having fun, you know, playing football again. You know, last year was such a struggle for him with the shoulder injuries. And I asked DJ Durkin about him earlier this week, and he said he's a guy that's going to play. He's going to be a key part of what we do. He's versatile. We ask him to do a lot of things. He's an impressive guy, and he's just like, he said, you know, he's got his confidence back. Like, that's the main thing with him, is that the confidence is back for DeMarcus Riddick. And look, if you have Atkins, you have Melendez, you have Juice Diaz, Riddick just changes that whole. I mean, that dynamic gets even scarier at that linebacker spot. And so, you know, we've talked about him a lot the last couple of years because he had such an impressive freshman season. And Riddick's one of those guys, Dan, that I really like watching play football because he just does some of everything really well, and he's such a unique player and a unique skill set. Good to see him back out there, and I know people are just crossing their fingers and hoping he can have a fully healthy season because I think he changes the dynamic of this defense.
Right, and I think with Riddick too, if he's not all the way back from the shoulder, you're talking about like a pretty significant amount of time that he would have been recovering from, and shoulders can be tricky, right? Like shoulders and hips are the two where it's like whenever a player injures one really early in the career, you're hoping it's not going to become a lingering thing and shorten or prematurely end a career for a guy like. And so for Riddick, the thought that he's ready to have a big year 3 and ready to put some of those shoulder problems behind him, like that's a huge development for this team. And a guy who, could be, speaking of Swiss Army knives, right, like could be really important in a lot of different aspects of what this defense wants to do, or could specialize in something and just be great at that. Yeah,
it's specialty players. I mean, they make a killing in the NFL now, but like that's just it makes your defense a lot more interesting. Champ Anthony being a guy that can play multiple spots, even if he's not the every down guy, even if he's not a star, like just find a way to get that dude on the field and let him go to work. I mean, you hear Durkin talk about playing 3 cornerbacks at the same time. Like, be very interested to see where that goes.
Riddick and Anthony are the two guys where, because they dealt with injuries last year and because they stuck around and because they have so much, they have so much equity, built into this thing. Like, you're rooting for them both to have solid seasons,
100%.
Healthy, solid seasons. And with what else, with everything else this defense has, like, if you get anything more than that out of either of them, it's gigantic because of what else you seem to have on this defense. If either of them are more than just healthy and solid this year, you could have something. You could have something really big with your defense.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, like I said, we have observations up on the website for all things first day of fall camp. You can check out what Golesh and Gordon and Durkin said earlier this week. A lot of good stuff in that. Check that out. We'll have observations on Thursday and Saturday, and we'll have another podcast later this week. Dan, I hope we're going to be able to get out there for practice on Saturday because it's always fun having, again, real quick, like, glad that you have your new job, enjoying. I love getting the updates from you on like what's going on over at WVAS because they are like some of the most entertaining parts of my day. So we love that you have the new day job and all that. But I will say I do miss having you out there, at practice. So I'm looking forward to for us to kind of tag team an observation window on Saturday, which will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be like old times, when I go and see the beat. I'll be come back from my travels, but just temporarily, I'm still very happy at WVAS, the voice of Alabama State, as we get ready for the Hornets and Southern Legion Field, just a couple of weeks away.
That's
it's gonna be a lot of fun, but I'm looking forward to it too, and getting to talk. And is it right? We're going to talk to my old buddy Cody Burns.
Yes.
After practice as well, and really excited to get an update. Not just about the receivers, right? Like, I think Cody will have real insight into Byron Brown, Alex Golesh, Gus Malzahn. Like, I'm looking forward to talking to our old pal Cody Burns later this week.
Also, real quick, I mean, we get Golesh again on Thursday after practice. Get more players on Saturday too. 3 viewing windows in the first 4 days of practice. That's not happening everywhere in the SEC. So shout out to Auburn. Shout out to everybody, like the staff.
We don't shout out Taylor enough on this show, but he does a great job. I
hope you're listening, Taylor. He usually does. So
he does. He has texted us unprompted about episodes before and said. And
shout out to Taylor, the GOAT.
Usually it's positive, but big shout out to Yeah, big shout out to Taylor and everyone else in the sports information department keeping folks informed.
Yeah, no, it's great. And again, it's like we get a lot of access, and that's great for our jobs. But it's like it helps y'all listening and reading. Like you get more informed about your team. There's an excitement. There's a buzz about this team. That's again, we'll see how the season plays out. But like you can
Justin's observations are better when he doesn't have to have his ear to the fence. Listening
to try the drone.
Trying to figure out what was going on at practice.
On air, yeah. No, that's a.
What is it? Is it a gully suit? Is that when you're in a ghillie suit? Okay, yeah. When you're
a gully suit is when you're
when you dress up to go see Fern Gully.
Yes, there you go. That's it. That's it
in theaters.
Dan, real quick before
35-year anniversary.
I have a very special edition of Who's Older.
Ooh.
To round out the show with. But before we get to that, got a couple things I want to do. Number one, no Auburn basketball's in Greece. No streaming, no updates. Like in terms of we'll not be able to cover it. Obviously, it'd be interesting to see kind of what Auburn post and do. I say all that.
We did not hire a Greek stringer.
No,
right?
I actually know someone in the area that could have helped, but his rate's probably a little too high for me. But I'll tell you this. I trust. We were shouting out Auburn's SID department. Like their communications, they're really good. Really good folks do a great job. Ted is the GOAT as well, much like Taylor on the football side. I'm hoping, and I have full faith that the updates from Auburn's time in Greece when they play KK Mega Basket, these two games this weekend, will be better than this. Did you happen to see the Ole Miss thing on Tuesday, Dan? All right, here we go. So this is directly from the Ole Miss website. I'm going to read it verbatim. This is their update on their tour, their foreign tour that they're playing. Well, I say foreign, they are in Puerto Rico, so part of America, but overseas. You ready? Here we go. Tuesday, August 4th. Game day finally arrived. Coach Beard and company woke up excited to play someone other than themselves after 7 weeks of practice against each other.
How about this? Hold on, stop right there. The fact that you're reading this suggests to me that this is not going to go swimmingly for our pals in Oxford.
We started the day with film review, pregame meal, and a quick walkthrough before taking the bus across town to Ruben Rodriguez Coliseo. All the players that were available for today's game's action and saw action, and the minutes were distributed evenly. After the game, players were encouraged to take time to recover and rest before meeting for film room later tonight to scout tomorrow's opponent. End of update. That is the update on the website about what happened on Tuesday for Ole Miss on their foreign tour. Dan, Ole Miss lost 193 to a Puerto Rican team in the exhibition.
Yeah, that's probably why. I mean,
so I don't know how those games are going to go. I would expect a little more detail than that.
Email goes out. Oh, Ole Miss participates in game against Puerto Rican team.
Ole Miss gets exercise in Island Paradise.
Yeah, I mean, good Lord, yeah. No, so that's. I mean, I feel bad for the AI chatbot that had to write that summary of their loss.
Oh boy,
their loss to the San Juan Sharks,
the old team that Auburn used to play every year. The San Juan shootout. Yeah. So I believe that Auburn's going to be a little more detailed than that. I have pretty good faith in them. Well, we'll see, but I have good faith in the crew. I have faith in the crew that you'll get at least a little bit more information officially than that. Just knowing the crew over there. But yeah,
you might know who scored a point or got a rebound.
You know what? just anything that happened would be interesting. So we'll talk about. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it this weekend if we get anything from the Greece trip. But yeah, no streaming. It's not gonna be like the Israel trip several years ago where every game was on TV and we were covering it at home like it was an SEC game. A little different this time around. So just put that out there. Keep your eyes and ears out for that one. Dan, couple things before we go. we can play we can play some rounds of Who's Older, special edition of Who's Older. I also want to say two things. Let's start because this will dovetail nicely into our Who's Older game. It's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, movie corner. But I actually watched a movie, and I'm planning on seeing another one. I have not seen The Odyssey yet. I want to. I'm going to get to it at some point, hopefully. But Dan, as a giant nerd, I went and watched the Spider-Man movie, and it is as good as everyone's saying it is. And this is coming from a Spider-Man diehard loyalist since day one.
Where are you on the other 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man
Not
films?
as good as this one.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
This one's I'm ready. You ready for this? People have called this the best live-action Spider-Man movie, and they are correct. This is the best live-action Spider-Man movie. And I love the Raimi movies. Not 3, but I love the first 2 Raimi movies. This movie is really good and hits all the notes that I want from a Spider-Man movie. I still say the Spider-Verse, the animated movies, are the best version of any Spider-Man story, maybe any comic book story, period. This movie making an ungodly amount of money is it's deserved to me. For it to break records for Endgame and all these, it's deserved because I am a nerd. I am a Spider-Man diehard, but still read the comic books. This hit every nail on the head.
I think it's also a reflection of how much people liked the third one.
Yes,
right.
Good movie.
I think so. We've seen in the last decade or so, there have been really prominent examples of a sequel to a movie that did pretty well, and the sequel is not warmly received, and there's not this sort of enthusiasm and excitement. And I think it reflects it reflects how much people have enjoyed Tom Holland and the other Spider-Man films that he's appeared in. I think I might hold Raimi's Spider-Man 1 and 2 in higher regard even than you. Because I
love those movies.
Yeah, I mean, I'd put Spider-Man 2 against quite literally any MCU film.
Heading into
they've
I would have put Spider-Man 2 and then maybe Spider-Man 1 as my favorite live-action Spider-Man movies. This one beats both of them.
I think that if you want to get controversial with it, if we had to
watch
a movie,
the first Amazing. That's a very good movie.
If we had to watch a movie right now and the 2 choices were Spider-Man 2 or The Dark Knight, I would listen to the art. I think I'd rather watch Spider-Man 2.
I would rather watch Spider-Man 2 because I know I've seen The Dark Knight more recently.
Yeah. So I mean, to think that it's the best of the live action Spider-Man is that's high praise.
Yeah, it's great. The big character that they add into this universe is first ballot Hall of Fame performance by that actress. Really, really good stuff. Really enjoyed it. And it sets up some stuff for the future. I'm not as crazy and bought into the MCU and the Avengers stuff anymore as I used to be. But standalone Spider-Man movies that still have some ties into what's happening down the road, that's my cup of tea. And it does a really, really good job. I also say from Movie Corner, Dan, I will want to see The Odyssey at some point, but I'm afraid it's going to get bumped down my list in terms of if I go to a theater and watch it because the new Bourdain movie comes out this weekend, and I am really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I want to like the Bourdain movie. I like a lot of the people involved. Here's the thing. I really liked the Holdovers. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the movie, right?
With Dominic Sessa.
Yeah. I didn't love Sessa as much as I loved the other 2 in Holdovers. I thought there were
Well, it's hard to go against Giamatti.
Yeah, Giamatti's so good in that movie, mm-hmm. and the actress who won the Oscar,
Divine Joy Randolph.
Divine is just sensational in that movie as well. And so, I thought there were times when I don't know. I didn't necessarily buy what Sessa was selling in the Holdovers, but he's a super charming guy, mm-hmm. and it sounds like this Bourdain thing, as a little slice of Bourdain's life, which is sort of the new way to go with the biopic, right?
Yeah, we're not going to try to.
We're not doing a cradle to grave biopic anymore because then you got to put prosthetics on, or we got to digitally de-age it, or we got to have different actors playing. So I think the Dylan movie is mm-hmm. a very specific period in his life. The Springsteen film is about the recording of one album, and I guess with Bourdain, they're going to focus on the early years of Anthony Bourdain. But that, it sounds and it's the guy from Nirvana, right?
Yeah, Matt Johnson, who is good. I like the Nirvana stuff, and then the Blackberry movie is good. The Blackberry movie was a good time. I watched it on a plane. It was a very good plane movie. Good movie in itself. I thought it was even more enjoyable on a plane.
Is it just my algorithm, or do you get scenes from the Blackberry movie a lot on YouTube?
I get scenes from Nirvana, the band, a lot.
I'll tell you, and I think it's because I clicked and watched it once, but they're always sending me scenes from Margin Call, the Jeremy Irons, stock market crash movie.
Yeah,
I get a lot of that in the algorithm.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, and then come on, my boy Stav's in it. You gotta give it up, give it up for Stavi. Major film actor now. He was in Begonia, and now in this movie.
I guess Maddie must have turned them down to play that chef, and so they had to go to they had to go to Stav, right? Like Maddie Matt.
I think he's in it. I think he's in it.
Is he in it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think. I'm like 90% sure. Let's see. He is. Is he not in it? No, he isn't in it. Why did I think he was in it? Okay. You know what? I'm conflating it because he was just on Stav's podcast not too long ago.
Sure.
And they were talking about that. So
they go out for a lot of the same roles.
Yep. Yes. Typecast. They're really typecast there. Dan, I'm not saying you're exactly those two guys, but like I feel like you could go for those same roles as well. Like if I need a chef, like you could play a chef type really well, I would think.
I really want. Yeah, no. If they do the live action Ratatouille, I want in. But it's
as the mouse.
Yeah, no. I want to play somebody. Yeah, but I'll be the Will Arnett German chef.
Yes.
I'll be the harsh German chef. No, it's I'm slacking on my movie watching, but no, it's.
By the way, did you delete your secret letterbox? I'm putting you on the spot.
Ooh, here. I took a break from it. Okay. I might need to.
I was recommending your letterbox to a mutual friend of ours.
Ooh.
Because that mutual friend of ours has the same approach to letterbox as you do, which is if I log it, I loved it.
Yeah,
which I think is a great way to use that website.
I'm not here to give movies 1.5 stars.
I'll tell you about
the mise en scène.
I'll tell you who it is off the air. Because this person was asked, because I went to go look for it and I was like, I don't think it's on there anymore. So yeah, we'll put it here. All right, you ready for Who's Older?
I should start doing letterbox reviews at the bottom of website of the podcast summaries.
Yes. Here we go.
All right, what do you got?
Here we go. This is a selection of Who's Older that's got film tie-ins, current film tie-ins to Auburn folks. And these were curated, researched, and discovered by my wife, Mary Kate. So this is she came up with these, and she wanted me to ask you these. Because these are really good. I mean, I'm biased again, but like these are really good ones. You ready? You ready for it?
Lay it on me.
Here we go.
Phone is on airplane mode.
Dan, we'll start with this one. Who's older, Matt Damon or former Auburn defensive coordinator and now back to being Texas defensive coordinator, Will Muschamp?
Will Muschamp. Now we've done Muschamp.
What do you know about
Who's Older? Right, and Damon is. That's interesting. Let me think about this. Placing Damon, and roughly how old he was. I want to say Damon was about. I want to say he's like late 90s. Damon's winning the Oscar for writing Good Will Hunting. He's in he's in Talented Mr. Ripley. Bourne movie's coming pretty soon. He's about 30 in 2000 or so. Ocean's 11. He's so good in the Ocean's movies. By the way, like everyone's bringing it in the Ocean's trilogy. Damon in particular is outstanding. And I'm thinking, and then of course Muschamp is a boy wonder coordinator early on in the 2000s as the Boom. Can I ask you this? Is it close between the two of them?
It's not like a couple of months.
Okay, interesting.
There is a gap, but it's not too far off.
I'm going to say Damon's older than Muschamp.
Matt Damon is older than Will Muschamp.
Yeah.
Matt Damon born October 8th, 1970. Will Muschamp born August 3rd, 1971. So about 10 months older there.
We established that Muschamp, I believe, was older than Seth Meyers on a previous installment of Who's Older.
All right, here we go. The last time we did this, you talked about me picking women. And,
that's right.
And I think since this list was created by a woman, it's fair that we can include women in this.
Well, the glass ceiling has been shattered,
Correct.
right? Bianca Belair has been the subject of. By the way, congratulations!
Yeah, just had her baby,
Bianca and Montez, and yeah, that's so now. Yeah, I guess I'm still a traditionalist, and I may only pick living male celebrities. Yeah. But
you ready?
Who's gonna be the first dead person? Is the next question on who's older?
Here we go. Who's older, Dan? Former Auburn softball I would say Auburn softball legend, best player in program history, All-American Casey Cooper.
Whoa.
Or
oof.
Zendaya.
Wow. Okay. Star, a big year Zendaya's having.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Florence Pugh. Florence Pugh also having a crazy good year.
Yeah. And I guess I just did. I mean, I'm not going to be able to get the years of Cooper's best of I'm sure I'm going to be a couple of years off here. Zendaya's been famous a long time, child actress, right? Who's transitioned into making some very popular, well received stuff as an adult. I'm gonna say Zendaya's older than Coop.
Casey Cooper is older than Zendaya.
Okay, all right.
Casey Cooper born April 7th, 1995. Zendaya, this one was crazy for me. I would have pegged her to be a little bit older. Zendaya born September 1st, 1996. She is about to turn 30. She's not even 30 yet. So there you go. Along those lines, this isn't a question. We'll give you a third one to see if you can break the 1-1 tie here. And this last one's diabolical in terms of like the way it was set up. But before we get that, I did mention
I've got three for you, by the way, and that's how we can rep things because I think I can match it.
So we did talk about Zendaya, Tom Holland, obviously now married, co-star in the Spider-Man movies. Mary Kate pointed out to me that if you wanted to give like a here's how old this person is in Auburn terms. Tom Holland, if Tom Holland played football at Auburn, right, he would have been in that class with Braden Smith, Carlton Davis, Jamel Dean, the 2017 team. Like, so if you ever want to do that, Tom Holland, played cornerback for the 2017 Auburn Tigers.
He's about as old as Will Hastings.
Yes,
right. Like
they've got the same kind of thing. All right, you ready, Dan? Who's older?
Will Hastings, that's kind of a Peter Parker thing going
on. Definitely. Who's older, Dan? Auburn football head coach Alex Golesh, who we've had before.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Or, and we're breaking new ground with this one. You ready? Who's older, Alex Golesh or actress Anne Hathaway?
Wow. Man. Okay. Anne Hathaway, of course. Princess Diaries, Ella Enchanted. Also someone who's probably been famous longer than you realize. We've established that Golesh is he's 42 or 43 from a previous episode, and it's just the thought that Princess Diaries is over 25 years old, right? I just don't. I think Hathaway was already. I'm going to go Hathaway older than Golesh here.
You are correct. Alex Golesh, born, as we've said before, June 24th, 1984. He just turned 42. Anne Hathaway, born November 12th, 1982. So Anne Hathaway turns 44 later this year. So shout out to Anne Hathaway and Alex Golesh.
Okay.
All right, what you got for me?
All right. I think that I think the former SNL category, I think with Auburn versus SNL was a real popular one.
Okay.
Last time, so I've got 3 more for you, and we're gonna start with who's older, former Auburn offensive coordinator and current North Carolina offensive coordinator Robert Patrick Bobby Petrino.
Good Lord.
Or star of Wayne's World, Shrek, and Austin Powers, Mike Myers. Who's older, Mike Myers or Bobby Petrino?
Petrino's older than I thought he was. Because, like, when it was the whole thing with the Arkansas job, it was just the second go-around with Arkansas. It was like, wow, Bobby Petrino, like, he's at an age that most coaches have hung it up by then. So I'm going to say Petrino's older, but I'm going to be scared if Myers is older.
You are correct.
Okay.
Bobby Petrino, born March of 61, turned 65 earlier this year.
Ooh.
Mike Myers, born May of 63,
Okay.
turned 63 earlier, a couple of months ago. All right, so good start for you. All right, number 2, former Auburn head coach Brian Harsin,
Oh, dear.
or
Okay.
host of The Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon. Who's older, Brian Harsin or Jimmy Fallon?
All right, so Harsin played at Boise State in the late 90s, early 2000s. He's on staff for the Statue of Liberty game. He's a head coach for... I'm going to say Harsin's older.
This one is maybe a little bit surprising. Jimmy Fallon is older
Ooh.
than Brian Harsin. Jimmy Fallon turns 52 next month, born in September of 74. Brian Harsin will turn 50 later this year, born November of 76.
Huh. All right. So I was a little off on that. Yeah, Fallon being that much older is like he this is not, I mean, I've never like super cared for Jimmy Fallon, but this is not coming from a place of dislike, but like Jimmy Fallon's a dude who's like, you can tell he's had a lot of work done on the face to be a guy who's been in late night for that long. So that one kind of throws me off some. All right, what I got?
Right.
I got to redeem myself.
All right, and our final one, former Auburn offensive coordinator and current SMU head coach, Rhett Lashley.
Okay.
Or comedian, producer, writer, director, creator of Barry, Bill Hader. Who's older, Bill Hader or Rhett Lashley?
So Rhett is still in his. Rhett is okay. So all right, let me. So Rhett he's on Gus's staff in 13. Obviously, he was around in 10 as a GA. I want to say he probably graduated. I want to say he's probably born in the. I want to say he's in his 40s for sure, and I don't think he's very super deep into his 40s.
I think Hader's the tough one to place.
Right,
right?
Hader could be any age.
He's timeless.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the vampire at the end of Marty Supreme.
Bill Hader is older than Rhett Lashley.
Bill Hader is older than Rhett Lashley.
Woo-hoo!
Bill Hader turned 48 earlier.
I was
this summer.
thinking Hader late 40s. I was thinking Lashley mid 40s.
Yep. And Rhett Lashley turned, and I believe they were born. Hader's birthday is June 7th. Lashley's birthday is June 9th. So pretty close to each other. Lashley is 43. So a couple years younger than Bill Hader. Good work, Justin.
Shout out Red Lashley. Shout out to Zendaya. Shout out to all of our friends.
Spirit Halloween.
Shout out to Stav.
Hey, yo, lesson here, babe. You come at the king, you best not miss.